Hello, everybody. Okay, so this is just a little quick video or stream to basically just talk about 5P and 2P. I don't know, there's some people in the Kai Discord who are still kind of like trying to figure out how to use this concept, so I'm trying to hopefully help them in learning about this tool. So yeah, 1 second. I'm just gonna be going off the cuff too. Like, I don't have, like, I literally just turned on the stream and here we are, so yeah. Hold on. I also don't have I don't have access to chat right now. Hold on. Okay. Let's see here. Oops. Let's see here. Whoops. Okay, never mind. Oh my god, I'm such a noob. What am I even doing? Yes. Okay. Alright, let's see. Let's get everything back to normal real quick. Everything normal? Okay, cool. Alright, so we're talking about 5P, right? Now, I don't know, it, like, right away, it kind of came kind of, like, natural for me to start using this move, like, right away. And that might be because I play other fighting games, too. I played Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and they have, like, jabs like this, too, that's, like, really similar kind of concept, right? I played Tekken as well. Jabs are really good in that game. And even in this game, like, okay, well, somebody might be like, well, hey, you know, what does 5P do, or what does 2P do, you know? Like, look at it. Like, it doesn't look cool, for one. Doesn't look cool. Doesn't really lead to any big, massive combos, right? Like, you get that, right? Like, without meter. Same thing with 2P, right? So, like, why is this move so good? Or why do you keep hammering home the point that this move should be used by new people? You know, why should I use this move? So first of all, we're gonna, I'm making a video talking about fundamentals and stuff like that, but I'll just go ahead and talk about it here too, where fighting games are basically, like, games like this, they're turn-based. And it's not immediately, apparent that it's turn-based, right? But it's actually a turn-based game, and the turns are determined by the frame data. So, okay, so let's take a look at this move right here, right? 2P or 5P, they're both basically the same frame data, but they both come out 5 frames fast, so that's basically like the fastest move that you have. And they're also +1 on hit and -1 on block. So, let's see here. Talking about the turn-based system in this game, like, so, like, basically, the more minus you are, the worse it is, right? But if you're -1, like you might be after somebody blocks your 2P or 5P, it's technically the opponent's turn, but you still have a whole bunch of options to you, right? So, okay, so talking to Goob, right? Let's say we're talking to Goob. He's actually getting a lot better at this, but let's just go ahead and use this as an example. Where is it? All guard, right? Okay, so remember about 5P and 2P. It's only -1. What's up, Joe Nuts? It's only -1 on block, right? Now let's pretend we're somebody who likes their big, heavy slashes, right? Like stuff like that. You know the deal. Like something like that. Oh wait, I got him doing something that I don't want him to do. Hold on. Okay, cool. Alright, so yeah. Jab is -1. 5P and 2P is -1. But let's talk about, like, let's pretend, like, hey, I like doing these big, heavy slashes. You know, they look cool. You know, when you land one of these, you get, like, a huge, punish, you know, in big, bold text in the background. You get a giant combo, right? So... Oh, man. I already forgot where I was going with this. Let's see. Like, I already lost my train of thought. Like, so, yeah, you're doing... Oh, yeah, okay, I remember now. So you're doing this, right? But what's the problem with doing this kind of stuff? So, like, remember the turn-based system? So, this right here, I don't know how minus it is, but it's way more minus than just -1 right here, right? So that's like minus... These are like -10 at least, right? So you can't really end your string on those. So it's almost kind of like... You're, like, when your opponent, like, if your opponent is paying attention to you, and they know kind of how, like, the ebb and flow of this game, they know that you're not going to be you're not going to end a string on this, because they're so minus, right? So it basically means, like, hey, if you just do this, your turn is over. You can't do anything. You're, like, so minus, and some characters might even be able to punish it, like, block punish it. So you'll be ending in, you're going to be generally ending your strings in some kind of ender, and we talked about that, right? Dire Eclat. I remember giving, I'd say, pretty false information in the Discord, because this guy here, Dire Eclat, is actually punishable. It's like -13 to -9. Depending on whether if you have, like, Dragon install and stuff like that. So let's consider that. Alright, so we did this. -9. At best, -9 to -1, right? So that's like it should already be clicking in your brain, like, oh, okay, I kind of see where this is going, right? If we're talking about turn-based system here, your turn is over. Like if you let's say you do this, you do Dire Eclat, and you try and take your turn, like, oh, hey, I'm gonna keep mashing, I'm gonna try and keep this pressure going. You're actually going to get hit if your opponent hits a button, because it's actually not your turn. You should be, if you do this, you should actually be blocking at, like blocking or doing some kind of defensive thing, because it's not your turn. But this right here, 5P and 2P, -1 is actually not that bad at all. So, like, I don't know. Like, let's see here. I'm gonna, where is it? Training settings. Yeah, here we go. After block. We'll just do standing normal. We'll do... I don't know. We'll do this one right here. Standing slash, right? So, I poke him, and he does that, right? But what happened... Like, I just vaguely know the frame data, but I already know what's going to happen before I even do it. Jab. Oh, wait. Jab. Okay. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. So it's like, he's doing a much slower move, right? So that's what I'm talking about, like, this turn-based system, and the turn-based, like, depending on what the frame data, that's how you determine whose turn it is and to what degree, right? So, like, if I do 5P, and he responds with a standing slash. I don't know what the frame data on that is. I don't know what the starter frames are. But clearly, like, I have time to, like, jab, dash in, and hit him with another jab before that move can even come out. Before he can even take his turn. You know, that's how good 5P is. And I think that's how you need to be using it. So, I'm going to turn this off. Whoops. Okay, so how do we use 5P and stuff outside of punishes? Say trying to approach, and the opponent uses far slash and heavy slashes to keep you out. Okay, so first of all, let's actually talk about some terminology, right? So, and maybe this has something to do with the Guilty Gear. Like, I don't know if this is exclusive to Guilty Gear, but from where I come from, playing the other fighting games, generally, a punish normally refers to a type of punish, which is a block punish, right? So basically, if you block a move and they're so minus, you can actually punish them before they can even start blocking. So I just kind of wanted to get that out of the way real quick. So when I normally say, when I'm talking about punishing, I'm not talking about reversals. Normally I'm talking about block punishing. Just because I'm kind of being conditioned to talk about it in that manner and using that terminology. Okay, so say you're trying to approach and the opponent is using far slash and heavy slashes to keep you out. Well, that was one thing right there, right? So, I'm gonna go ahead and put it back on, actually. I'll do this one, because it's gonna be a little bit easier to demonstrate. So, somebody's using, like, I don't know, I kind of suck at using, like, the training options in this game, so hopefully this serves as, like, you know, like a good example, right? So, like, hey, you're trying to get in, and he's, like, using that move, right? He's, like, using his long-range moves to keep you out, and you're like, oh, man, how do I get in? You know, he's using all these long-range moves. Well, remember what we did before, right? These long-range moves, normally, their drawback is they're actually slow for startup frames. Like, now you're looking at it and you're like, well, hey, I mean, like, either way, you can't react to it. Like, what is that? What does that move come out in, like, 13 to 15 frames or something? That's, like, on the verge of being reactable. Just barely. You can record the opponent to do things if that helps. Oh, yeah, I know it can, but, man, I freaking, like, I hate this practice mode. I hate having to, like, switch buttons to record and play and stuff. Would it help if I did that, though? Like, would it help you out more? Like, I'll go ahead and do it since, let's see here. Button settings. Okay. Record and play. Okay, alright. So, No, that's fine. I'm making this video to help you out, you know, so I should be listening to you. I just wish I wasn't so bad at, like, using this training thing. Okay, so I'm gonna do some moves, right? Let's say, okay, I'm recording. I'm Kai. I'm doing these things. I'm doing, like, slower moves that might, like, you know, trying to whoops. Okay, hopefully that works. Okay, let's see what I recorded here, right? He's moving. I made him move forward, so that's actually not good. Oh man, I'm so bad at this. Oh my god. It's not button settings that I want to be in. Ah! Oh, that's why. Oh my god, I'm such a buster right now. Okay. Alright, so we're actually gonna do it again. Okay, let's see. Okay, so... Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and try this again. Okay, so we're caught... Oh, what? Okay, I did it in reverse, but whatever. Okay, so, yeah, we're doing these moves, right? Let's say, like, oh, we're being annoying and using these long-range moves to keep we're, like, poking it out at our opponent and stuff, right? Let's see, hold on. Okay, there we go. What is he doing? Oh my god, this is good. This is like the worst freaking stream ever. Oh my god. What am I doing here? Okay, record and play. Okay, that's how I, like, normally have it. Okay, so we're gonna record. Alright. So we're doing this stuff, right? Big long range attacks. Now, why does he keep doing that? What? Oh, Did I mess something up with the record settings? Okay, whatever. Okay, I'm like messing this up and I'm not helping anybody right now, and that sucks. Okay. I gotta change the slots. Is that in record settings? I don't know. Why am I so bad at this? Like, did I accidentally record, like, multiple things, or... Oh, there we go. I think, okay, I think I... Yeah, Goob, it's all your fault! It's all your fault, man! I'm trying to help you! Oh my god! Okay. At the top. Training settings, Okay, slot 1, right? So, that's what I want him to do. Okay, well... Oh, man, this is so bad. Okay, yeah, see, I told you, I suck at... I haven't really messed around, so I guess that's my fault for, like... Not really, like, figuring out how to use this freaking thing before I jump in and stream to try and help you. But I guess I'll just talk about the concept itself. And maybe next time, when I'm better at this, I'll be able to better demonstrate. So let's see. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, man. Okay, so you're talking... Okay, so... Alright, so for now, I can't really demonstrate it because I'm so bad at using the training options, right? But you said... let's remember, let's start with the premise that fighting games are basically turn-based, and also, when I say turn-based, there's like, the turns are dependent on the frame data, and also, in neutral, specifically, there's a lot of rock, paper, scissors interactions going on here, right? So I remember you saying in the Discord, Goob, like, oh man, I'm using 5P and it's not working. I'm using 5P and I'm getting blown up. You know, what the hell? So, one thing to remember is that, like, yeah, I'm like a big advocate of using 5P. Whoops. Oh my freaking god, this is so annoying. Okay, whatever. Okay, I remember. I left that there, right? So that'll serve as an example, actually. Like, oh, I'm using 5P and I'm getting blown up. Why am I getting blown up? Well, it also might be the case that you're just losing the rock, paper, scissors transaction thing going on here, right? So, like, let's say, I can actually do this example, right? So, 5P, the rock, paper, scissors was 5P beats, like, I made this little hypothesis in the Discord. 5P and 2P beat slower, generally slower moves like standing slash and standing hard slash and stuff like that, right? And we can demonstrate that right now, right? So I'm gonna poke him, and he's gonna respond with the heavy slash. I don't even know the frame data, but I know that 5P and 2P are so fast that I can make him do that, and then I can hit him with another 5P before it even comes out. Just like that, right? So that's one part of the interaction there. Also, these moves are so slow that you could actually, like, micromanage your spacing to do a quick dash like that. Right? When I play Caliber, that's what I'm doing. And that's what he's doing too. Like, we're both doing, like, the same concept, you know? We both understand that 5P is the fastest move that we have. And when we're at this range right here, you know, we don't need to be doing, like, these, you know, like, long-range moves that have a buttload of startup frames. You know, we're doing, like, fast moves. We're doing, like, 5P, we're doing 2P, and we're doing, like, 5K, and 2K, right? Because those are like the fastest options that you have, and those are the options that you want to be using when you're in this vicinity right here, you know, like really close. Now, let's say you're far away, and let's talk about your example where, like, okay, well, we're far away, and he's using Heavy Slash to keep me out. He's using all these annoying long-range moves, right? So, one thing that you can do, like, since we're talking about 5P, you can dash in and do that, right? You can do that. And you can actually clip him, because if he's throwing out that, the standing Heavy Slash, you can actually dash in. Like, I'm doing, like, a super quick dash. It's like, but hey, every little pixel of space is important, you know, in this game. Like, if we're talking about neutral. So, like, see, like, you can see right there, I'm like, dashing and still hitting him. That's how slow that move is, and that's why you don't want to be doing it at this range, because it's going to get stuffed. Right, so... so that was like one part of the the rock paper scissors thing, right? So let's say like, oh hey, well what does dashing 5P and dashing 2P lose to? If we're talking strictly about frame data, right? Well, that would lose, like, that 5P is already the fastest move that you have, right? Like 5 frames, and you're dashing to like cover space. So what beats dashing What beats dash-in 2P and dash-in 5P, especially if you can, like, dash and still stuff moves like Slash and Heavy Slash? Dash-in 5P and dash-in 2P actually just loses to straight-up 5P and 2P, right? So, like, if you're dashing in, that requires frames for you to do. And also, remember, it's rock, paper, scissors. You're not reacting to any of this. You're actually hard reading or going off of information that your opponent has already given you. Like, hey, if you're, like, let's pretend you're fighting me, Goob. Like, hey, I know that Vision Lumps is freaking 5P and 2P. How do I beat it? You know, I can't beat it at all. It's so good. So how do you beat 2P and 5P? Well, like, if I'm not dashing in, you can actually do that, right? Like, because the range is so good, like, you know, depending on the spacing. But if I'm dashing in and doing this, you can just 5P or 2P me. Let's see, hold on. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling now, and I'm getting away from, like, what I originally wanted to do. So what was an example? Hey, Goob, you're actually watching, right? So, give me some examples, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you how to beat, or how to deal with whatever example with 5P. Like, it's better when, like, I'm not, like, going off the cuff. I have, like, a direction that I'm going right now, right? And I don't really, like, have a direction right now. Like, I'm just like, hey, I know that I've already talked about this stuff before. But, like, you can take all the time you need. Like, I'm basically on here to help you, so, and I'm happy to do so, by the way, so don't feel bad about it or anything. But... okay, let me form... oh, yeah, take all the time. Oh my god, there's 2 people watching my stream! Who's watching my stream? There's Goob and who else? Who else is in here? Okay, alright, so I use 5P to punish unsafe block strings and someone trying to use negative frame moves. But dash in 5P doesn't even work because characters, oh, what's up, Caliber? Even land the first one. So I get the frame data and how fast it is and, like, all that stuff. Putting it into practice, I'll just get hit. Yeah, like, yeah, I guess that's like one thing, because like, I don't know, I've been playing fighting games for such a long time, so I know like, hey, you doing 5P every time doesn't mean that it's gonna hit, right? Like, there might be like little intricacies that change the frame data, and it also means that you're gonna get hit, you know? So, so let's see, like I was playing Caliber yesterday, and I was like, remember thinking like, okay, I didn't have the static edge debuff on me, and I blocked his foot arc standing, so I was like, okay, well that means that I'm not -1, and I would try and 2P out of his pressure, and he would hit me with 2K, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I should be hitting him. Why is my 5P getting stuffed, you know? So like stuff like that happens all the time, you know? It's just, you know, part of the game. And sometimes like I'm sure there's an answer, I just don't have the answer right now. But I think maybe like in the neutral, maybe your problems might be a little bit easier to solve. Like just because we're talking about neutral fundamental stuff, we're not talking about nitty-gritty frame data, I guess. So give me like an example. Like, you get how it's supposed to work, but it's not working. Like, that's the thing where I'm at. Like, okay, so you know how frame data works, so you, like, I don't need to explain to you the stuff about the frame data. The thing is, you're trying to apply it, and it's not working. And that's one thing I need to know, like, well, why isn't it working? Like, that's where, like, a little bit of information, like, some footage might help, so that could come down later in the Discord, where maybe if you could, like, get some examples, we could, like, dissect it and be like, hey, this is why your 5P isn't working, you know, use this move instead in this little interaction, or this, like, the next time you see this in your game, you know, do this move instead of 5P. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, cause like when I talk to you, like I feel like you understand it. Like you're like, hey, I get the frame data. You know, I get that it should be working, and it's just not working, right? So. Okay, when I approach characters like Nagoriyuki will hit me before I get close with their long-reaching normals. Also, when I do... Oh, shit. How do I scroll up? Caliber is ruining the stream! How do I go up? Okay, here we go. I got it here. I'm not sure how else to put... when I approach, characters like Nago will hit me before I get close with their long-range reaching normals. Also, I do tick throws. People just... Okay, I guess the message cut off. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm pulling up YouTube right now. Maybe that'll help. So I can actually, like, respond to the messages in real time, and hopefully it won't have, like, that freaking delay. But yeah, Caliber is right, too. Like, it covers... Yeah, because it's so fast, it covers all, like so many options. But yeah, Caliber is... Just because it's so fast, you know? So, okay, so, I'm not like a big Nagoriyuki aspect, or I'm not a big Nagoriyuki, like, expert or anything, that's what I meant to say. So, obviously, like, if Nagoriyuki is, like, trying to keep you out with these, like, long-range moves, doing this sometimes could be risky. Like, I mean, it depends on the hitboxes and the hurt boxes, right? Because a lot of Nagoriyuki's like slash and heavy slash and stuff like that, they're kind of slow, like frame data wise. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely right. You'd want to get a little bit closer, you know, and if he's like keeping you out, you know, you already know, you got other options besides 5P to get closer, because if he's like keeping you out, like he's got some massive range, and like if you're using 5P, you got to be like in this range kind of, right? You can't be right here, and this is where Nagoriyuki can actually hit you from this distance, right? You got to be like in this range right here, so you can actually dash and like clip him. You know, if you're out here and he's like swinging at you, you know, I'm sorry, but dash and jab is not gonna work. And I guess that's like part of like the little intricacies, right? Like I've been like, hey, yeah, use dash in 5P, and I'm just assuming that you know the range that I'm talking about, but this range right here isn't gonna cut it, right? Like, look how much distance you gotta close just to clip him. But Nagoriyuki can actually hit you from over there. Let's see. Yeah, you can't even hit him from here, but I'm pretty sure he can hit you from that distance right there, so like, yeah, as far as like people like using long range moves to keep you out, like remember, don't forget, like when they're using these long range moves, normally there's like a they're committing to something, and normally they're using up their turn. Like let's say like even I don't know, let's pretend that I'm Nagoriyuki, right? Like, you know, that's like a long range move. You know, Nagori has long range moves, but he does his little thing, right? And let's say you block it all. You know, like he ends his string. He's gonna be minus unless he uses that little low spin move that he has, where like if you block it, he's like +1. But like everything else, he's gonna be minus. Yeah. So yeah, like okay. Hopefully you're like understanding now. Like when I say like, yeah, you need to be dashing in and jabbing, like, yeah, you definitely do. But there's a range for you to be doing that. Like if you're out here doing it, you know, you're nowhere near him. At best, you might clip like his hit lag or something like that while he's recovering when he's swinging at you. At best. At worst, you're gonna get counter hit. So when I'm talking about dash 5P, I'm more talking about this range right here, because you can actually dash in. Your opponent cannot react to it. It's so fast. So if your opponent commits to like a slower move that's not 5P or 2P, this is actually gonna stuff them, and then you confirm into like, I mean, you might even be able to confirm it. I'm not sure, but you can like Gatling it. You know, you can be like you know, and like if this first hit connects, all of that is gonna be guaranteed. No, I don't feel stupid. Why do you feel stupid? Don't feel stupid. You're not stupid. You're just learning the game. It's natural. Like, I don't know, like, I've been playing fighting games for a long time, right? So, and I just learned about frame data recently, like, started playing Tekken, so like, don't feel stupid. Like, I went through most of my fighting game career playing Melee, mostly, I had no idea about frame data. Like, all this stuff that I'm talking to you about right now, I had no idea about it. I had no idea about, like, the general basic rock, paper, scissors games that a lot of fighting games like this one has, right? So, like, don't feel stupid just because you don't know it. Most people don't know this stuff, and I certainly didn't know this for the majority of my career playing fighting games. So, don't feel stupid about it. And, I don't know, like, so I'm, like, just rambling. But let's say, like, hey, yeah, like, one thing to remember, you like, hey, maybe you're trying to use 5P all the way out here. You know, like, oh man, it's not working. I just want him to get hit by this 5P, right? One thing you gotta remember is that your opponent doesn't want to get hit, right? Your opponent's trying to hit you, you know? He's not just gonna run into your shit. So, like, that's one thing to remember. Like, he's trying to, like, let's say you're fighting a Nagoriyuki at this range. Okay. So, like, what do we do full screen neutral if I'm allowed to ask in the stream? Yeah, of course you're allowed to ask. Ask anything. So what do we do at full range neutral? Well, one thing that... Okay, so let's talk about our Caliber matchups. You know, Caliber's, like, so annoying with doing this. This is such a... Like, okay, like, I had no idea how annoying this was. And if we're at, like, full distance, right? I'm not used to people doing that. And he would do this, and he look at the angle that he covers, right? He's like really good at doing this, and that angles at like this right here, right? So like if you're at full distance right here, your opponent's probably like you, and he's like, man, this is kind of, you know, getting under my skin. I want to get close to him and start mashing buttons. You know, I want to start playing the game. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna like one of the fastest ways to close distance is doing dash attack, right? But if you're like full range over here doing this, that's actually gonna clip them trying to dash in. Like at best, it's gonna hit them. At worst, they block it, and neutral resets. You guys are still, you know, far away from each other. And now he has blocks. He has the debuff now. So that actually opens up Fudra arc to, you know, like like you wanna like if he blocked it, you know, you can like just run up a little bit and then do your spacing, and then, you know, do Fudra arc and collect your plus frames, right? So that's like one thing to do when you're far away, right? And another thing you can do is pay attention to the spacing, right? Like, so let's say you guys are both far away, and clearly your opponent doesn't want to get closer to you, and at that moment you don't want to get closer to your opponent, but you got to be thinking like, okay, well, if he's keeping his distance, why is he keeping his distance? So you can collect a little bit of space and see how he reacts to it. If he keeps backing up, eventually he's going to end up all the way over here, right? And suddenly he can't back up anymore, and you've got the space. You got all of this room to do whatever you want, you know, like, because he just gave up so much space for free. He's now at the wall where he can't back up anymore. And look at all this room that you have, right? You can space out here. You got, you know, you can do all kinds of annoying stuff. You can do this too. You know, you can still do the Caliber fireball. You know, like, hey, you know, you're just gonna keep backing yourself up. I'm just gonna keep chipping you. You're gonna eat it. You're gonna be eating this chip damage and getting that debuff, and I can come in whenever the hell I want, right? So that's like one thing that you can do in neutral. Like, there's a lot of things, like, I know that I just like broke that down into like nitty-gritty detail, right? But this is like stuff that when you get used to it, you'll be thinking this like over the course of a set, like, hey, this guy gives up so much space. Like, whenever I want to fight him, he's never there. He's always backing up. Well, I mean, like, if you want to play it safe, push him into the corner. He can't go anywhere. He can't back up anymore. And then, you know, then you just run train on him, right? You know, you do what you're best at. You know, you start, you know, just freaking going ham and doing all this stuff and, you know, like, opening him up. Oh, yeah, that too. Oh, man, I didn't even think about that, too. Yeah, right, yeah, okay, so Caliber's right on the freaking money right there, too, right? So what about this move right here, right? Normally, if you do it up here, they can smack you, they can grab you, but if you're all the way over here, they can't do anything. They gotta respect it, right? They can't even, like, air dash in and hit you. They're so far away. So, and that really, like, gives you the advantage, right? Because you're like, hey, yeah, look at that fireball traveling. That gives you time to like get in place to do a crouching heavy slash to catch them jumping over it, you know. So yeah, like Caliber mentioned that was like another big thing that I didn't even mention, like being out over here. They can't hit you, you know. You get one of these guys for free, and they have to block it or they have to jump over it basically, unless they got like Stun Dipper to go underneath it or something like that, but Okay, what is the best distance? I usually get hit even mid-screen trying to punish air dash with 6P. So here's one thing. I know it sucks that I don't have like the CPU like doing all the stuff that you're talking about, but remember this. Remember your 5P. It works as an anti-air. Excuse me. For EX stun edge. Okay, wait, say that again. Sorry. I want to make sure that I have like an understanding of what you're asking before I answer it. I usually get hit even mid-screen trying to punish air dash with 6P, and then for EX stun edge. I don't know, maybe I missed a message or something. So when I use EX stun edge, I try to beat. Oh, okay. Okay, I feel like Caliber already answered it. I don't know. Am I getting lag on my end? I don't know. I know there's like lag. Okay, I'm reading it now. What is the best distance? I usually get hit even mid-screen trying to punish air dash with 6P. For EX stun edge. Down X2, he means like punishing jump-ins after charged stun edge. Okay, I don't know if it's me, but I'm still not getting it. But I feel like it looks like Caliber already answered it anyway, so... Okay, well let's just talk... Okay, I'm just gonna talk about this one real quick. What is the distance? What is the best distance? I usually get hit even mid-screen trying to punish air dash with 6P. I'm just gonna so like... One thing about 6P, it's like a little bit slower, right? And like, I don't know, maybe you got caught sleeping at the wheel, maybe you're at the end of some recovery frames because you did a stun edge, you know, and your opponent jumped over it and he dashed in. Maybe that's what you were talking about initially, but I'm not sure. But so what could be the case is like, hey, maybe they hard read your stun edge and they like didn't jump over it immediately, right? Or maybe they jumped over. Oh, okay, cool, great, all right. Yeah, okay, so I see what you're saying. Sometimes so I think what you're saying is sometimes you throw out a stun edge, and then you're like in your mind, I'm like, okay, I got a setup. I'm gonna make them air dash over me, and I'm gonna catch them with the 6P, right? Well, sometimes your opponent, like, this is a thing that happened in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, too. Like, sometimes your opponent he hard reads it. He's just like, hey, I feel that a stun edge is coming. So he's predicting it. So he's jumping way earlier than you think he would. And that's why your 6P is not working, because he's jumping and dashing over to you way before that actual hitbox is even near him. Right? Because he's either hard reading it or he just has a general feel of the flow of the match, you know? Like, there's a general tempo, and that's basically it. He's like, even though you haven't done the stun edge, there's a tempo being kind of, you know, there's like a general tempo that you might maybe playing to, and he's catching on to it, or he just hard reads it, like, hey, if I were Kai, I would throw a stun edge right now. He's probably going to throw a stun edge, so I'm going to air dash over it and hit him. Yeah, so that's one thing. Okay, so yeah, like, that's one thing. Like, sometimes it's so obvious. Like, I think Like, I see, like, watching the games with me versus, Caliber, like, there were times where, like, I would be like, hey, I'm gonna throw a stun edge, you can't hit me from here, and he would, like, stun dipper underneath it and hit me, right? So, like, that's kind of like what I'm talking about. It's basically, like, the same thing, like, hey, like, this is such a, like, either he had a hard read on me, or it's so obvious that I would throw a stun edge here, right? Because, like, hey, I can't hit him, or you can't, my opponent can't hit me from there, so, like, why wouldn't I throw a stun edge? It's the most logical thing to do at this distance. And that's why they're, like, that's why they're jumping way earlier than you think they would. They're not actually reacting to your stun edge. They're hard reading it and jumping over it and punishing you, or at least getting near you before your 6P can come out and hit him. So that's one thing, I mean, like, if you want to think about it, that's one thing that 5P is really good for. Like, hey, at this distance, hey, am I gonna throw a stun edge, or am I gonna dash, you know? Like, you don't have to throw a stun edge immediately after you push your opponent all the way over there. Like, let's say he blocked it, right? And he's all the way over there. And you don't have to throw a stun edge right away, you know? Sometimes the best thing to do is just wait and look at your opponent and see how he reacts to you. And normally, like, a lot of the times, you know, like, within the first few games, you're fighting somebody and you're at this distance, you know, they're like, man, I don't want to be at this range against Kai. You got this here, you got normal stun edge. You can actually clip them right there, too, because that has such long range, you know? So they're like, hey, I don't want to be at this range. I want to, like, freaking jump in and get in his face. Right? So sometimes you could just be at this range, fake a fireball, you know, just do this, right? And then just clip them with their 5P because you hard read their hard read of your static edge or whatever. Okay, I just talked for like 5 minutes, I felt like. Did that make any sense at all or no? Okay, cool. Alright, awesome. Okay. Hopefully it makes sense. Yeah, so, like, I kind of feel like... Okay, cool, thanks. So, like, yeah, like, what was it? Like, see, that's, like, more of, like, an intuition thing. Like, one thing I do this, too, and I feel like maybe you're doing this right now. And there's, like, a lot of, ungathered data on your part. So, I'm basically, like, you know, me and Caliber are talking to you, and, like, Zen and, like, all the people in, the group chat. Excuse me. You know, we're giving you all this information, like, hey, yeah, use 5P. And then you'll use 5P and you're, like, getting blown up, right? And you're like, what? Well, why? I'm doing what they're saying. Why isn't it working? So there's, like, a lot of little intricacies, and a lot of it comes down to stuff like that, right? Like, we didn't cover any of that in the chat, and we didn't talk about it, as far as I know, until, like, right now, where, like, well, I do static edge, and, you know, like, it should be safe. It should be a guaranteed setup. I do static edge, they air dash, and bam, I hit him with the 6P, right? But, I mean, that's, like, a thing that happens in fighting games where, like, hey, consider your thing where, like, I've seen your games, Goob, where you have a sense of timing, like, you can't explain it, but you just know it. You just know by the spacing that they're gonna run into a crouching heavy slash, right? Like, is that something that you can really explain? Like, I guess it is, but, like, it also comes a lot from tuition, and you just see it, right? So that's, like, one thing, like, that's, like, you know that same thing where you're like, oh, man, I just see it, I'm reading him so hard, he's gonna air dash in, and bam, counter hit, right? And then you get a combo. So, what, you know that little sense of timing and that intuition? You need to apply that to everything within this game. You know, like, it doesn't come down to just data alone, right? It comes down to, like, stuff like that, like intuition, reading your opponent's habits, and then just thinking like, well, what is the logical thing for them to do? What are their options, right? So yeah, that's like another aspect right there, like that aspect where they're actually doing that to you when you know, when you like you're ready for a dash in and you counter them with the heavy slash. It's basically the same thing. They're doing that same exact thing back to you, like, hey, he's gonna stun edge. I don't have a lot of data, but if I were a Kai main, I would stun edge right here because I can't hit him, I can't punish him. Why wouldn't he throw one, right? So there you go. Okay, 1 second. Hey, you can post another question real quick. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And if you got, like, another thing, you can just go ahead and ask it, and I'll, like, answer it. And I'm sure Caliber will help you out as well. He's in the chat. Oh, snap, we just got 3 people watching. There's 3 people here. Okay. I'm just about back. Sorry about the downtime. Okay. Okay, how do I get better at approaching without... Uh-oh. Okay, I feel like I missed, like, some chat. Hold up. Okay. So another issue I struggle with is running out of options in neutral. At a point, people will just hard read my Fudra arc and my attempts to go in. Even doing EX stun edge dash, people will 5p me somehow. How do I get better at approaching without making myself obvious or susceptible into falling into a pattern? Okay, so let's see what Caliber said too. I'm not even reading it, and I know that I'm probably gonna agree with it. Fudra arc is good approaching tool, but if you do it too much, they'll start to read it. You need to switch it up. Air dash attacks and jump-ins are good by default. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about approach options, cause that's perfect, right? So, Fudra arc, obviously, like, look how, like, I mean, like, it covers a lot of distance, but look how slow that is. You could probably fit like 3 freaking 5Ps in there before the Fudra arc hits you, right? So, let's talk about options here then. Fudra arc, not like, it's definitely good, right? But like, if you do it all the time, you know, your opponent can 6P it or anti-air it or whatever. So okay, so let's talk about this. Approach options. Depending on your approach options are going to change depending on the distance as well, right? So, like, what do you consider approaching? Like you can just run at them, right? Why wouldn't you just do that? Obviously, there's no hitbox protecting you, and they can just smack you, right? So, let's go back to, I don't know, the dashing 5P and dashing 2P. You can do that. Now, obviously, like Like, it doesn't cover too much distance. But remember, if it clips them, you're only -1. So you actually have a lot of options if they block this. Even though you're -1, them blocking this is your favor because you got like stuff that you can do from this. You can Gatling a whole bunch together. You can do this to 6p. You can delay it. You can like you got so many options just from doing this and they block it. Like -1 is freaking nothing. So you dash in, right? And they block it. What do you got? You can jump. You can double. You can do multiple 5Ps. You can 6P. You can, you know, if you got meter, you can do all kinds of roam and cancel stuff. So like if you're like really close here, 5P and dashing 5P. Or preferably 2P because they can't duck this, right? So that's a good approach option. Just do this, like, use that, like, get used to doing that because that's like a super good approach. All right. So that's one option for talking about approaching. Let's say another one. I don't know. Like seeing you love your heavy slashes, right? You love. I see your videos where you're doing all kinds of crazy stuff right there, right? But what if your opponent is blocking? What if your opponent is blocking and they don't have the static edge debuff? Well, you got this right there, right? If you think they're gonna block, you can load one of these bad boys up on them and send it their way. Because you know that, because you're basically doing a whole bunch of string shenanigans, right? So normally they're gonna block, right? Yeah, so if you know that they're gonna block, you know, why wouldn't you send this guy out? They're blocking. They're not gonna punish you. They're not gonna jump over it. You know, yeah, Caliber freaking does that to me all the freaking, like, in all of her freaking games, you know? Like, I'm just blocking, and then he sits here right in front of my face doing this, and I can't even hit him! So yeah, like, take a page out of Caliber's book, right? You don't always have to go in, because, like, hey, see, look at that, like, normally you go in with Foudre Arc, right? That might be your go-to, or maybe your Goop Dipper, right? But hey, what if you know, like, so let's think about it. If your opponent is blocking, like, let's say they've given you quite a bit of data, and you're like, hey, I know that they're gonna block. You know, they don't match a lot of buttons when I'm doing my heavy strings, my slash and heavy slash strings. If you think they're gonna block, and like if you've got the information, like let's say maybe you've run a set with these people, maybe you've got like 2 or 3 games worth of data on them, and every time you know, like, hey, I'm not getting any counter hits with my Foudre Arc because they're blocking all the time and they're not hitting any buttons. Well, that's when this guy comes out. Because look at that. He's blocking. Look, you got frame advantage, and now you're like also on top of him too, with like a buttload of frame data, buttload of frame advantage, and he's also got static edge too. So then you can go in with Foudre Arc if you want and collect your plus frames and continue doing pressure and stuff like that. So yeah. And Caliber already mentioned too, like the general stuff, right? Like you know, air dash in, heavy slash. Don't forget, this is also useful too. Air dash in and just block. That's useful as well because hey, maybe your opponent wants to counterattack you. He's like ready for an anti-air. Maybe you're fighting a Kai and he's got his crouching heavy slash ready, waiting for you to air dash in. Well, that's okay because you can actually block it from there. It's not a big deal. So you're inside and you blocked it, and now you're in a closer distance. You know, you've collected some space, and you got a little bit of meter, and your opponent, if he wants to keep his distance from you, he might be dashing back or whatever. Okay. 5K jump cancel jumping heavy slash. That's a basic high-low. Yeah, that too. Yeah, like 5K is like it's like a frame or two slower. But hey, if your opponent's not mashing and you feel like they're blocking a lot, that's an option, right? And then there's so many, oh my god, there's so many options from this stupid move. I don't know, like, I'm like a big advocate of this, like, super degenerate kind of cheese kind of play. But yeah, so, like, Caliber mentioned 5K too. We can talk about 5K as well, because it serves a very similar purpose to standing 5P or 2P, and the fact that it's very fast, right? What's the frames on it? I think it might be like 6 or 7 starter frames, which is pretty good. You know, it's still faster than this stuff right here, but it also has the important aspect of allowing you to jump out of it. Danger. Okay, a lot of the stuff I do when I have them in the corner, but in neutral I get punished. I'll try doing them more. So what do you mean punished? Like you're doing some of this stuff in neutral and you're getting punished. So obviously you're not getting block punished. So yeah, basically I think what you're saying is you're doing this stuff and they're just hitting buttons and they're hitting you. You're like trying to play, like you're like, oh hey, I'm trying to play this high calculated game of Guilty Gear Strive, you know, and this dude is just freaking mashing and he's ruining my freaking chess game that I'm trying to have with this guy. But that's like part of the game. Like, if you like, that's what I do in my games. Hold up, let me read this again. They mash out of the 5K and 2P. Sometimes people will punch through EX stun edge up close. So this is like, I guess this goes into like another aspect where we mentioned it in uh-oh, I don't have any viewers anymore. No, where'd the guys go? Oh. Okay, it doesn't matter. Whatever. I don't know if you guys are still there, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer this question anyway. So let's see. So maybe you're still here. Okay. It says the viewer count's gone to 0. But anyway, so let's say people are like freaking mashing, right? Like you're trying to do this, you're trying to have this freaking high level chess game of Guilty Gear Solid. And they're not letting you have it because they just mash every freaking time. I remember having a freaking game with a chip where like he was playing in such a way that I wasn't used to. And he did not give 2 shits about plus frames or any of that. He was just mashing, it seemed like. But that's one thing that you gotta pay attention to. Like, you gotta be, like, when you're doing this stuff, like, think of your health bars like a way also to, like, collect data on your opponent, right? So, like, let's say, let's see, what's an example? What's a good example here? You could actually do 5P or 2P. Do that. What do they do? Are they mashing? Okay, well, likely, like, good chances are they might mash out of whatever other move that they block. They don't know or care about the plus frames. Once they're done blocking, they're mashing. They're taking their turn. It doesn't matter if it's their actual turn or not regarding the frame data. So, you need to be, like, when you're, like, if you want to get better at Guilty Gear, or this is, like, a basic fighting game concept altogether, which is probably why I'm a little bit comfortable with it. It does, like, you need to be gathering data, right? So, you have all of the stuff that you want to apply to your opponent and be like, hey, yeah, look at all my cool setups, right? It doesn't matter what you do, I've got all this setups, right? But if they're, like, mashing out of these little tiny windows, you actually need to be paying attention to that, because that's data for you. If they're mashing out at every little thing, well, hey, if this guy is mashing out of my 5P or 2P pressure, that means tick throws are off the table because he's gonna mash me. What else? If he's mashing out of strings, that means Foudre arc is also off the table because he's gonna jab you out of that as well, right? There's like a certain level of commitment to Foudre arc because they can, like, just jab you out of it. He could probably freaking heavy slash you out of it because Foudre arc is actually so slow on startup that you can actually, like, you know, if they're mashing, Foudre arc is gonna lose. Also, if they're mashing, you can do close slash, jump cancel, air stun edge. This allows for even more pressure. Yeah, that as well. I'll just go ahead and talk over that. I mean, obviously, Caliber can, like, talk about it in the chat as well. But, like, yeah, so close slash, that's really fast. I'm not sure what the frame data is. But if you can do it, that's good because I saw your videos earlier today. You're jumping out of close slash. So, you know, just like 5K, that gives you a lot of options, right? So, like, it's not like this guy right here. You can't jump out of that. You're basically locked in to a special. You can only do Fudra Arc out of it. You can do that out of it. You can do, yeah, you can only do specials and this guy right there, the heavy slash, and that's it. And that's still kind of like, basically like, it basically ends your turn, right? Unless you do Fudra Arc and they block it, then it could still be your turn. But besides Fudra Arc, everything else means that your turn is over. But if you do close slash, you can still jump. You know, basically, hey, it's still your turn. If they're mashing buttons, you know, bam, catch them with a counter hit, heavy slash, jumping heavy slash or whatever, right? So, or if they're blocking, you're trying to open them up. You know, look at all the options you have. Let's talk about what his Caliber's setup. His close slash, jump cancel, air stun edge. Like, you can do that, right? And look at that. Now that, like, it comes out at such an angle where, like, they can't jump because that's going to cut off their, you know, it's going to stop them from jumping. And now they got the debuff for your Fudra Arc. So, like, yeah, like, I guess, like, a lot of it, like, first, that's what I was talking about, like, a few days ago, I think, where you need to know what options you have available to you, right? When you're, like, aware of the options, then you can be like, oh, hey, I actually have the tool to fix this solution. I have the solution to the problem that my opponent is giving me. He's blocking all the time. Well, I know what to do when they're blocking, you know. Hey, you can give them stun edge, and then you collect your plus frames on Fudra Arc. You can tick throw them. But, hey, what if they're mashing? Now my tick throws aren't working anymore because they're mashing. My Fudra Arc isn't working anymore because they're mashing out of it all the freaking time. Well, what do you do when people are mashing? Well, you can delay your strings, delay it, and collect a fat counter hit, right? Another thing you can do is, you know, like, hey, you block, and they start attacking you because they're mashing, and we'll just see what they do, you know? Like, I mean, generally don't want to be blocking, but hey, if they're blocking, they're attacking, we gotta make the best of it, right? Pay attention to what strings that they like. You know, how do they end their attack strings? Do they end it in Dire Eclat, which is freaking punishable? You know? Do they always end it in Fudra Arc, which you can actually interrupt it with a 5P or a 6P? You know, stuff like that. What else is there? Is there anything else you want to go over? That's right too. Like, it covers it because it's so fast. It covers. What is the question, Joe Nuts? Oh man, I'm like so happy that I got you on that. What was that you tried to get me in Discord? What even was that? I'm like looking at the Discord right now. What even was that? Oh yeah, suck on these. Yeah, Goob, you can suck on these nuts, baby. Yeah. Angry Goob. Okay, what's your question? What is the question? Hit me with the question. Look at us giving Goob all this Kai information. He's gonna be a turncoat and play Gold Lewis. So we know now that Stun Edge is negative and punishable on block. What are our possible enders besides Stun Edge or backing off? What do you mean? Let's see. Doing Stun Edge really close is not good because you do not have frame advantage. Let me read that again. So we know that Stun Edge is negative and punishable on block. What are our possible enders besides Stun Edge or backing off? Well, okay, so that actually depends. Well, let's see. So all of our enders. So first of all, let's talk about normal enders, right? So this right here, I mean, like, it could be an ender. You can end a string right there if you really wanted to, but it's like, first of all, it's not your turn, right? If you end your string right here, you are like really minus. You might even be punishable because I don't know the frame data on far slash, but it's not good. Now let's talk about this right here. Heavy slash. Also not really good, right? So you can use that as an ender if you really wanted to, but it's generally not a good idea because the frames are not on your side. You're like really minus, even though it pushes them really far away. So that's actually pretty good. So let's talk about generally what we're referring to when we're talking about enders. You already know the answer to this actually, and we actually covered it, kinda. So enders. So like, hey, maybe they're like looking to punish your static edge right there, right? So first of all, I would recommend if you're going to end a string in Stun Edge, I would recommend ending it with after standing heavy slash because they're so far away, right? So this could actually work. Even though you're like minus frames, they're actually so far away that I'm not sure if they can punish you for it. So we got that. We got Foudre Arc. You already know about Foudre Arc. At worst, it's -1. At best, it could be like +8 or something like that. And then you got Dire Eclat right here. Also minus. I was giving you like false information before, but it's actually minus on block. It's like -9 to -13, so depending on who you're fighting and depending on the frame data, they can actually punish that. And the better you get at this game, the more used to getting this, you'll be getting used to having this move punished because like really good players aren't gonna let you use this for free. They're gonna like punish you for it, like block punish you. So, and then we also have this. So once again, we kind of have this thing where it's kind of dependent on the frame data and dependent on the data that you've collected from your opponent. Like if you think that they're gonna block all the time, hit him with one of these guys. If you think they're gonna swing, hit him with that. Let's see. Do you think that maybe you think that they like to I don't know, maybe there might be a situation where you can actually end your string and Stun Dipper and you'll get both hits, right? But there's not like one string ender beats all, right? Like it's very situational and it's up to you as a player to be collecting the data to be like, hey, I think my opponent does this because he does this thing all the time. So what's my answer to it? If he's mashing all the time, end it in Dire Eclat. Does he like to block all the time? I can send a stun edge this way? Or is he blocking, but I want to stay in his face, you know, like, and does he have, like, the stun edge thing on him, like the stun edge debuff? Go in with the Fudra arc, collect your plus frames, and keep pressuring him from there. So yeah, like, there's, like, like, you already know what your options are for stun edges because you've used them all. The thing that I think you might need to realize is that it's up to you to determine which string ender you need to use against whatever opponent you're fighting against. Because you don't have a flowchart, one answer beats everything, you know, you don't have that. You don't have a move like that. To some degree, you're taking some kind of risk. You're either giving up your turn and risk being punished, or you are making a hard read and doing a move that has a lot of startup time, and if they're mashing, they're going to mash you out of it. Okay, I might do like one more question and I might call it a wrap, because I'm like talking and my voice hurts now. Did what I just say make sense, or do I need to like explain it in another way that maybe you get it? Like, I will gladly do so. Or I can keep going. I don't mind keeping the stream going. As long as you're, like, being helped, I actually don't mind helping you at all. I just feel like I'm rambling, and I feel like I'm giving you a buttload of information for you to consider, you know? Like, I would never expect you to watch this stream and then all of a sudden become, like, a VIP Kai player, right? Like, it takes time to apply this stuff. You know, like, we talked about a lot of stuff, and maybe you got some of it, and maybe you missed some other parts of it, right? Like, when I'm learning a fighting game, I'm the same way. Like, I'm like, hey, I know how I learn. I learn some aspects. The rest of the aspects I don't get right now, but I'll pick them up tomorrow the next time I play. Okay, 1 second. I kind of like missed some of the chat. I need to open up YouTube again. The only thing I can think of at the moment is 6K. Okay. I think Caliber probably knows a lot more than about 6K. That's not a move that I have a whole lot of experience using. Because, I mean, that's like one thing. It's like, what, +4 on block. And even when I get my opponent to block it, like, I still somehow end up getting mashed out of when I do 2P. So, like, I, like, suck at using that move. Yeah, so I guess, so, like, Caliber's probably way more used to using 6K than I am, but, I mean, like, I kind of feel like, given the frame data, like, hey, what can be learned about this move? You know, just by looking at it and knowing the frame data. Well, obviously, it's kind of slow on startup, so it means it's gonna, okay, yeah, that's fine. Watch the stream as many times as you need. Okay, yeah, sick. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about this 6K thing real quick, and then that'll be it. Or maybe I'll just hop into some matches and just play and stream it. I don't know. But yeah, so like right away, like this is just like a general thing. Like, look how slow this move is, right? It's so slow, but it has to be used for something. Why would they give us this move that's like so slow on startup? Well, I mean, looking at the frame data now, it's actually +4 on block. So yeah, so Caliber said that it's not good in the neutral. Generally, yeah, where like, you could actually react. This is actually so slow. It's like what, like 20 to 25 frames. Oh yeah, I can play some today. I don't know. I can't prom. We'll see how the games go. I'm a little tipsy right now, but yeah, I'm down to play. But yeah, so like it's super slow, right? So it's gonna lose to mashing, but it's +4 on block. So like, yeah, like Caliber said, it's probably not gonna be the best in the neutral, where people can like, you know, like if they're using moves like this, you know, like 5P, they can do like 2 5Ps before this thing even comes out. So it's like more of like a pressure tool. Like you get your turn, you get to keep your turn. It's non-committal, you know. So maybe on like Oki you could use it. Maybe we'll talk about this more. I don't want to give you like false information actually. So this is a move that I suck at using. So I mean, like other than like the general basics, I don't feel like I have like, I don't know. I don't want to give you any false information. So. Okay, alright, well, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for showing up and talking and asking questions, Goob and Caliber, for showing up. So, alright, I'm gonna end the stream now. Maybe we'll play some games later, but I'm gonna end it now, so. Alright, peace!